Unless we see humanity in human beings, we cannot see divinity in human beings. Unless we see divinity in human beings, we cannot see divinity anywhere else in the world. We celebrate the great event of human person, Christmas. And actually, the whole humanity must rejoice. It's not just a commemoration of the birth of a great Mahatma 2000 years back. It is the Son of God himself taking the human form. As John 1:14 we find God dwelt among us. It is not an accident. It's not an event that took place by chance. There was long preparation by various prophecies in the past several centuries. In the book of Genesis itself, we find chapter 49, verse 10, a Messiah was promised to the first parents to deliver them from their sins. And in the book of Isaiah, written around the 8th century BC, saying that a virgin will bring forth a son. And in chapter 7, verse 14, we find more accurate details of the birthplace and the manner in which the Messiah would die, would be put to death, and so on. In the book of Micah, chapter 5, verse 2, we find how the people, after being taken as captives to Babylon in the year 587 BC, that the Messiah would be born to save them, who would be more loving than a mother, and so on. And finally, by St. Paul, we find the book of Hebrews that when the time came, God sent his Son to be born of a woman. That is how we find a long prophecy being fulfilled in and through the great event of Christmas. Earlier, this Christmas was celebrated along with the Feast of Epiphany, where the three wise men, or the so called kings, visited the Bethlehem from the east, that is January 6th. But only later, when the Roman Emperor Constantine accepted Christianity as the official religion, he encouraged them to celebrate this feast as a separate festival. In 313 AD, through the Edict of Milan, he accepted Christianity as the official religion. And then December 25th was chosen to celebrate Jesus' birth because December 25th the Romans were celebrating the feast of Sun God, S-U-N, Sun God. And Jesus is the real Son, who is the Son of God, S-O-N, giving light and warmth and life to everyone. Therefore, it was thought to be fitting to celebrate Jesus' birth on the 25th of December. On this particular day, the Pope would celebrate three Masses. At midnight, the Mass of the Angels at the great Basilica of St. Mary the Major, where the relics of manger preserved, and then at daybreak, the Mass of the Shepherd at St. Anastasia Church, the official chapel, and the third solemn Mass at St. Peter's. This meant for the royal court ceremonies, coronation of kings those days. In 800, for example, the king of Charlemagne was crowned, and then similar royal events would take place. By the 10th century, the practice of decorating Christmas tree was begun, This Christmas tree is a symbol of the tree from which the first parents got the fruit and disobeyed God's command. And the same tree reminds us of the tree of the cross by which Jesus brought redemption into the world. So the tree was the cause of the sin, and the same tree, in the form of the cross, brought in salvation to us, symbolizing, reminding us of this. Two events the Christmas tree is decorated. In 1223, St. Francis of Assisi decorated uh, an actual cave to depict the scene of Jesus' birth in the cowshed, in the manger. He used live animals of ox, ass, and etc. to make the replica of Jesus' birth. Then, in course of time, we began using toy figures to decorate this crib. By the 13th century, carols, songs on this particular special season, the practice started in Germany. And then we have Santa Claus, the famous figure today associated with a grand old man, but it actually refers to Saint Nicholas, a monk lived in modern day Turkey around 280 AD. He was said to be distributing gifts to poor people, and today he is a legendary old man giving away gifts and sweets on the Christmas day. Then we have the Christmas star. In the Bible, the books of Micah and Numbers, we see the prediction of the appearance of a special star at the time of the birth of Jesus the Messiah. It was taken to be a miraculous sign fulfilling prophecies, and according to Matthew's Gospel, this star was leading the three wise men from the east to Bethlehem after stopping over at Herod's palace. But today, the scholars, astronomers say this star could have been an unusual celestial event which took place that time, like a conjunction of two planets, probably Jupiter and Saturn, or Jupiter and Venus, or it could have been a comet or a supernova. In fact, 21st December this year, 2020, were coming together on the straight line, and at a particular angle from the earth, they look like one star. They are not stars, of course, they are only two planets coming together. This happens, in fact, every 20 years. These planets come along the straight line, but only from a particular angle, they come very close to become almost like one star shining there. This takes place every 400 years. And now they have predicted after 5,000 years, in fact, in 7,541, Jupiter and Saturn will come together, and Jupiter will come exactly in front of the planet Saturn and hide it totally. And this is said to be Christmas star. So these are some of the things and the people associated with the great event of Christmas. When we think of Christmas, it's actually a great mystery. God, who is beyond space and time, confines himself into space and time and be born as a human person so that human beings can understand him, love him, and he in turn can completely reveal himself to human beings. It is like this: when we talk to children, we talk in the vocabulary that the children would understand, with all gestures and music and intonation and so on. We don't talk to small children as we give a great oration or a great speech that children will not understand. Similarly, when God decided to come to human persons, he decided to come as a human person so that we can totally love him and communicate. And that he was born as a poor person in an ordinary simple family. Had he been born in a royal family in as a a big, great, influential, royal, philosopher, or great man, or a king, only those people of that category, caliber, could contact him, could communicate with him. But all the poor, simple people would be left away. That's why he chose to be born as a simple human person so that we might love him, communicate with him, and understand him. And God expects us to see him in other people. As God took the human form to reach us, we need to reach God only in and other human beings with whom we live. We need to see humanness in other human beings. We need to see humanity in them. Oftentimes, we treat people only in terms of how much they'll be useful to us. For example, the doctor treats the patients as cases, and the business people, business owners, will see the customers only as people who would bring money or do the business. We do as people to see humanness in them, and unless we see humanness in them, we cannot see divinity in human beings. Because human beings, as we believe, as the Bible declares, is the epitome or the climax of God's presence. God has created human beings in His image and likeness. So we cannot see divinity in human beings unless we see humanity in human beings. And unless we see divinity in human beings, we cannot see divinity anywhere in the world. It is true, God is revealing Himself in and through nature and all the creation. As the dancer is revealed in the dance, as the poet is revealed in the poems, as the artist is revealed in his or her arts, naturally the Creator, the divine Creator, is revealed in and through His creation. But human beings are the masterpiece, so to say, whereby God reveals Himself in the utmost form in human beings. So, unless we see divinity in human beings, we cannot see divinity anywhere in the world meaningfully. Therefore, God invites us to realize Him, recognize Him in and through the people with whom we live. Once there was a school where they wanted to have a little skit depicting the Christmas event. So the teacher was training all the students for different characters. There was one particular student who was supposed to be very dull student, the teacher thought, and the boy could not memorize long dialogues. So the teacher wanted to put him in a skit in the drama, but the boy was insisting he wanted to participate somehow. So the teacher wanted to give a small, simple role where the boy has to say, "We don't have place in the inn, go away. We don't have place in the inn, go away." So he is the innkeeper. So she gave the training to all the children and to this particular boy also. And that Christmas Day function came up and everything was set, and this skit drama also started, and all the characters were doing very well. And St. Joseph was taking Mother Mary, who was about to deliver baby Jesus, and he was taking to the innkeeper, and the innkeeper was standing in front, and Joseph was asking, "Please give us a place because my wife is going to deliver a baby." And this boy, who was supposed to be the dull boy, he was expected to say the dialogue, "We don't have place in the inn, go away." This one sentence. And he could not speak those words. And this boy who was acting as Saint Joseph repeated again the request, one time, two times, three times, and the teacher was so tensed because the boy innkeeper could not deliver his dialogue, that one sentence. The teacher was prompting from behind, but the boy who was acting as the innkeeper, he said finally, Teacher told me to tell you that there is no place in the inn, go away, but I have place in my house, so please come over there. And with this, the whole audience was stunned, and this teacher was really surprised. And the boy, he said, Joseph and Mary, they were in such a poor condition. I could not refuse them to send them away. That's why I invited them to my house. My dear friends, this boy, even in that small skit, the drama, though he was acting, he could not deny and send this couple away. He was filled with such humanity. Seriously said, my teacher told me there is no place, go away, but I am telling you, you please come over my house. And that is the depth of this boy's ability to see the suffering in the people. Therefore, today we are called to see humanness, humanity in human beings. Unless we see humanity in them, in human beings, we cannot see the divinity in human beings. And unless we see divinity in human beings, we cannot see divinity anywhere in the world. And that, in my opinion, my friends, is the deepest, the most meaningful message of our Christmas. Merry Christmas to you all. Let us think about it and appropriate the joy, peace, and serenity of this Christmas into our own lives. Thank you.